Rome's pharaonic elite had to flee Italy. But where to go? France is empty. We just murdered all the Celts there with Caesar and his legions. There are no more Celts. We murdered them all. The women, the children, everyone. It's completely empty, France is. And in between 500 and 600 AD, Rome's pharaonic elite massively settled down in small groups all over the French country, building all the 11th century castles, raping the women with the jus primae noctis, and fighting the Europeans from the inside out, perfectly looking like us through the rape of our women and mixing with us. This is why there are no castles from before the year 1000 in Europe, and why French still is the world's diplomatic language spoken by the entire nobility. Like at the royal courts of England, Germany, Belgium, Russia, the Netherlands, you name it. Only in Spain there are many castles from the 8th and even 7th century by the Muslim pharaonic aristocracy of the Caliphate. Like today's King of Saudi Arabia and the rest, and even cousins and related by blood with the Queen and Prince Charles of Windsor and the rest of the global pharaohs. This is why the pharaohs are replacing those disobedient and very dangerous Europeans with the better slaves from the Orient. And no Jews here either, except the ones from the house of David and Solomon. Jewish pharaonic kings like Sarkozy and Baron de Rothschild, who are Erev Rav, and no real Jews, they're just pharaohs. Yeah, look, the pharaonic Jews, like in Israel, make a difference between normal Jews and the royal ones, whereas the normal Jews don't have a clue whatsoever, just like the Europeans. Which is what I've been telling you all the time, that there are two types of Jews, the pharaonic Jews and the Hebrew Jews. Go watch my film, The Pharaoh Show, if it's still there. I think FuckTube took it off because it was on my film Gure, so it's gone forever now. If the Jews would be the masters of the world, then why fight the British Empire in 1948 and being searched for as Jewish terrorists by the empire, if they would be the empire themselves? And why the need to put your own women in the Israeli army for 2 long years, your own mothers, sisters, daughters and wives, if they could easily have delegated this dangerous job for their own women by some knights or legionnaires, if they would be the allegedly master race? You see, that theory just doesn't fit into the reality of history, psychology, and general analysis of the situation, evaluating the total intel. The Queen of England never gave Palestine to those Jews, just like America never got their independence. They just rule now through an invisible network of global Freemasonry, a Templar system by Pharaoh's aristocracy. Pharaoh wants us to believe that the Jews killed Jesus, in spite of the fact that the Jewish women were lamenting over his death. In fact, the Pharisees, an ancient name for Pharaoh's descendants, Pharisees, Pharaoh, they sentenced and gave the order to their Romans to torture and slowly kill Jesus by code O2T, oxygen deprivation, as the Swiss Nazi Templars do in their torture detention centers for political prisoners, as you can read here in the Zurich files, whereas the Swiss CIA does through waterboarding, oxygen deprivation, which is the way of dying on a cross through the total fatigue of one's thoracic muscles, unable to breathe anymore, leading to one of the slowest deaths possible, a pharaonic invention, or made in Switzerland. And Switzerland is today's Rome, with the Swiss God policing the Vatican. So after condemning Jesus of Nazareth by the Pharisees, Pharaoh's Roman legionnaires killed the good man. Oh, no Jew involved in that terrible crime. I mean, look at them. Look, they even look like pharaohs, like this typical pharaoh scarf, like over their heads, you know? And, well, Rome was led by the pharaohs. They were the Pharisees. If you want to know who were the Pharisees, they were the pharaohs, you know, in the Roman Empire. You know, who were there to rule over the people, just like today's politicians and the entire nobility, you know. Yeah, look at the hairdressers. They don't even look like Jews. There are no Jews. My dear white nationalist friends and comrades, both the Holocaust deniers and the ones who sentenced them are of Pharaoh's aristocracy, and it happens always around Switzerland of the Nazi Templars, as here in 2018. So, the leading Holocaust deniers are from Pharaoh's aristocracy. And if some white nationalist repeats their lies, he will go to prison and sentenced by Pharaoh's Freemason judges. Whereas the initial leading Holocaust denier never does a day in prison. This is all part of the Ordo ab Chao structure of the enemy within to divide and rule and set up peoples, races and religions up against each other to mislead us towards the wrong enemy instead of the real one. And of course, it's a terrible crime to have a real nationalist buried under tons of prison years only for expressing his opinion. Therefore, telling himself, oh, look, this is how much power those Jews have, who therefore must be the masters of the world. Thus, the real enemy behind the screens and true Templar pharaohs and their Swiss base are happy, with no one thinking of them. As the sentencing of Holocaust deniers is totally counterproductive for the Jews because it makes people hate them, which is exactly what Pharaoh's aristocracy wants and perfectly succeeds in. As the average dumb nationalist is quite primary and not being able to think several moves deep into this pharaonic chess game, in which royal Tavistock paved the way for big secret armies for the Nazi Templars, out of all control, as Holocaust denial has been made illegal on purpose. Believe me, folks, I've seen it with my own eyes. You have no idea for whom I worked for before. And dear nationalists, there never were any European kings in history. They all appeared, all of a sudden, all together with their damn castles, dungeons and torture chambers after the collapse of the Roman Empire. And anyway, those so-called solid proofs of Pharaoh's Holocaust deniers are so easily to be put away. Like saying that it is impossible to burn so many corpses in such a short time, while comparing the cremation with modern equipment of 120 kilo fat Americans sucked in liquids, with a 20 kilogram crispy
I'm just
dried
filming
out
something. Hold
Auschwitz
on.
inmate. Yes, the thirst in the concentration camps was worse than the hunger, according to the witness accounts, making the corpses dry as tinder drywood. Whereas the fat yank and used to drink a gallon of Coca-Cola every day, filled up with non-burning liquids, and due to his overweight, or her overweight, needs at least 50 times as long to burn, compared with this crispy tinder wood here. Then the dumb Holocaust denier gives himself further proofs of the rapid combustion by saying that Zyklon B is a fast burner, even that fast being explosive. And that there were no blue Zyklon B stains on the walls, as in the disinfection chambers for prisoners' clothes. Well, stupid. Of course there were no stains on the walls because of the 800 plus breathing tinderwood corpses, who all ran the Zyklon B through their systems into their lungs and into the bloodstream, hardly leaving any chance to stain the walls, thus making the combustion of the cremation even more faster because of the accumulated explosive fast burner Zyklon B inside the tinderwood Jews and their Zyklon B filled tinderwood Jew kids. And no Germanic nationalists would have chosen the word Zyklon B, meaning cyclone B, a whirlwind, because it's not very Germanic. There never were any. As there never were any tropical cyclones in Germany 80 years ago, before the climate change. As there always have been at Pharaoh's River Nile. Cyclones, whirlwinds, that is. Therefore, not the Germans, but Pharaoh's nobility chose the name Zyklon B, Cyclone B, the second cyclone, as for Pharaoh's belief system. Very much related with the Baphomet of the Swiss Nazi Templars, meaning the soul arrives in the pyramid, Baphomet. Like a Swiss CERN vortex, bringing them through the portal into the other world. Sucking you in by the Grim Reaper, mower man. A couple of million of them Jews and their kids. My dear nationalist comrades, just watch how the Minister of Lies, Propaganda, Minister Goebbels, resembles Pharaoh Ramses the Great, Ramses the Second. It's the same lineage. They're pharaohs, the Nazi Templars. And just watch the not very Germanic features of the damn pharaonic branch and the worldwide nobility, like ethnic Swiss Himmler, who looks like Jet Pharaoh Hirohito, the Emperor of Japan during World War II. This is why the axis of the fascist Germany and Japan, they were allies during World War II because of this pharaonic bloodline here. They're all the same. Or how the Grofats here did the square and compass Pufter salutes. Here you got the title of the video. Check it out yourself. Make sure that the whole story won't get lost, and save video, the Swiss Beast, Home of the Devil, and the rest. In German, das Schweizer Beast, Basislager des Teufels, and in French, Enfer Suisse Satanique, and the rest.